Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today, I'm chatting with Dakoda, known as Dak, who is the founder of Dak Strength. Now, Dak Strength is all about empowering people to get strong. And Dak is also not only a coach, but she's an educator as well and a power lifter. And today is going to be a great episode because we're going to be talking about all things training, all things powerlifting, the experience of burnouts and, how to manage stress a little bit better. So Dak, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to actually, really dive into these topics because I think they're really valuable for a lot of people, even if you don't do powerlifting.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone can experience burnout.
100%. I think, I feel like people often see stress as a negative, which I think really limits how much we actually delve into it and deal with it.
Yes.
It's kind of like, if you see it as a negative, I feel like a lot of people don't really want to talk about it and don't really want to say that they're stressed because they want to kind of put on this charade that they're in control all the time and they're not stressed. But acknowledging your stress or kind of what is actually stressing you out helps you identify if you can actually do anything about it or if it's just something that is a constant that you kind of have to live with.
Yeah, so common. Like for so many years, people will be like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But deep inside, I'm like fucking dying.
I'm not fine.
So stressed out. But again, like you said, it's a part of control. We're not wanting to be vulnerable and putting ourselves out there to say that we're actually not okay.
Yeah. And stress doesn't have to be a bad thing. You could have a job interview coming up that you're stressed about. And that's just more so because you care about it and that you're excited about it. Powerlifting is fucking stressful, but it's a good stress. It's a stress that you literally welcome into your life.
Yes, it's a good stress.
Yeah, if there is one. I feel like a lot of people need to look at stress in a different way, rather than kind of running from it or just accepting it, trying to really identify exactly what is stressing us out and why, because I guess a lot of people do have a reaction and a follow-on effect from stress, like whether it's, emotional eating or whether it's, not communicating with people and kind of shutting down. Like some people's stress affects people and then other people, it really just affects their entire life if they don't deal with it.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so common. And like you said, most people don't want to deal with it, or they're just too blinded or just not conscious enough to realize that what they're doing is just making them suffer more.
Yeah, just exacerbating the stress itself. And it could even be like a stress that doesn't even matter, but now it's affecting your entire life,
Yes, so true. What is your experience with, feeling burnt out?
In regards to like more so powerlifting specific stuff, I've accidentally done this in CrossFit as well, but I had a really negative experience with powerlifting before I kind of took a break. I bombed at a meet, which was really just not, you don't want to do that. It's kind of like so you've got like, if people at home don't know, you've got like squat, bench, and deadlift, and you've got 3 attempts per attempt. And the aim is to get at least one. If you get one of each, it's a good day. And I unfortunately got 0 on my bench press. And it was like the build up was really hard. It's quite stressful. Like stress expectations were at an all-time high, and it just did not pay off. And then after that, I was like, I just needed to stop. Like I needed to get out, and I definitely forced myself to go further into the sport longer than I really needed to or should have. So I needed some time away. And that was 100%. I was so like burnt out, like really forcing yourself to go to sessions. Like, everybody has sessions they don't want to go to. whether it's you had a bad sleep, whether you haven't, you're not eating very well, or whether, it's you've got your period. Like there's something that you're like, I just don't want to. But this was like months of me forcing myself to do it. Like it got really stressful, really hard to force myself to do it. And I'm someone who's never had a real issue with training. Like I'll always train, whether it's day one of the period or whether it's, 3 hours sleep. Like I'll always just go and it's fine. But definitely experiencing the burnout, it was just a really weird feeling. Like I almost felt lazy or like I should want to, like I felt bad. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like I should want to be here. Or like, there are people that can't train, like I should be grateful. Or it was a really weird time.
Kind of sense like, because I've experienced burnouts quite frequently, but you feel kind of apathetic, like there's no emotion. Like you said, like you do feel lazy, but like really in a depleted way.
Yeah, kind of like there's no there's no positive or negative. You're kind of just there. You're kind of just existing in the moment. It's not really, there's no like peak of either negative or positive emotion. And it's a really weird place to be. Like when I took some time off from powerlifting, I did CrossFit, and generally powerlifting sessions go for like, 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on how long you rest. And CrossFit is obviously like a smidgen of that. And I was like, oh, cool. Like my recovery is easier. This is easy. This is fun. I'm just out of breath. So I did 2 sessions every day for 6 weeks. And it took 6 weeks for my body to be like, okay, you need to stop now. And that was like huge chronic fatigue. Like I felt like a zombie. And that I feel like that was a little bit further than the burnout. That was pretty bad. I did that to myself. I'm pretty happy I lasted 6 weeks though, to be honest.
That is massive, man, especially for like doing 2 sessions a week and from going from powerlifting to CrossFit, because the demand of that is completely different, but you're still putting that load on your body.
Yeah, like it's still just as exhausting, even though it was easier at the time. Like my joints were like done. My shoulders, like I was like sore all the time, and doesn't matter so I think I took like 2 weeks off. I took 2 weeks off, and then I felt all right. But it was fucked, like being like so tired and being able to just not have that like extra level of push. It's just weird.
How did you overcome that? Like what are some tools that you've put in place now to avoid that?
Definitely being more realistic with my time. I think honestly at the time I was definitely a little unsure with where I was going. I did powerlifting for 7 years, and all of a sudden I've just decided to stop. So I think I definitely filled CrossFit, that kind of void. I felt like, I was very bad at it, and I got really good at it because I just, kind of immersed myself as more of a distraction, I think. So I definitely think I was, I would probably not do that again, but more so just a little bit of balance. Like I think it's very common for people to think that you have to do a lot to get better. Like you really don't. Like you need to do, like the way that I look at it, which I didn't in the past, and I try and push my clients and everyone to do, is like you want to do the bare minimum. Like you want to do what you need to do to get better. But obviously, if you're a bloody elite level athlete, you're trying to go to the Olympics, this does not apply to you.
Yeah,
you do you, continue.
Yeah.
But like, if you're someone who wants to just move well, or somebody who wants to get, really jacked, or, trying to lean up, like, you don't need to train 6-7 days a week. If you do it and you enjoy it and you can fit it into your lifestyle without, losing other things, go nuts. But you really don't have to do as much as you think you do.
Yeah, it's that old school mentality where, in the past they used to tell you, oh, you need to train every day to see the results. And if you don't, you're not training hard enough. Like, and again, like that whole old school mentality, like no pain, no gain.
Yes. Yeah. No pain, no gain. What is it? You can rest when you're dead, or sleep when you're dead. Like that's so fucked.
It is. It is.
Not good.
And like it's so, it's been ingrained in so many people's heads. Like till today, people are still saying that. Oh, I'm sore, so I know I'm doing really well. It's just like, yeah, no, you're just not recovering better.
Yeah, yeah. You can actually train hard and not get sore.
Yeah.
Like, or people still think that you have to, get really sweaty to
Mhm.
have a good workout.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the same when I first started. Like I did, I do cardio before work, and then I would train weights after. I'm like, I spent so much time at the gym. I was like, what was I doing?
Who was I taking advice from back then?
Who was I listening to?
It's crazy. Like as you said, like when you started, you were doing like the cardio and the weights in the evenings, but since you've been doing powerlifting, like what got you into powerlifting?
I went to I was training on my own, just doing like random sessions, and I was like, okay, like I really like this. Maybe I should put some time and money towards it, to get actually good at it and obviously safe. So I went to my first coach, Joanne Gregan, and I originally wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. And she was like, oh, you should do powerlifting specific training to help build mass, which is a fantastic idea. Except I did a competition and then I was like, oh, fuck off bodybuilding. I'm going to do this now. I was like, wow, this is great. And that's pretty much how it started. Not bodybuilding.
I love that. It's so funny how you get into one thing and then you change it completely.
Yeah, like I honestly, I think I picked bodybuilding because I was just like, oh, this seems good. This gives me something to work towards, but after experiencing powerlifting, like I think the training is a lot more fun. Not bodybuilding's great for a lot of people, but yeah, I just can't do that. Can't do that to myself.
What do you find fun about powerlifting?
It's definitely fun. What is fun? Probably probably the competition day, to be honest. Like, I mean, I enjoy training, but it can get very mundane. It's exhausting in a way, like because like your sessions are set. You've got 4 or 5 sessions, and when you're coming into a peaking phase, under 8 weeks, you need that specificity, and you need the sessions are really important. So, maybe it's day one of your period and you still have to squat above 90% of your max. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel, you still got to do it. So I think trying to like get in the mind frame that you need to move like really heavy load when you aren't in the mood or under the circumstances that you want to be is probably the most challenging of it. But competition day has to be the funnest. Like 12 weeks is a long time to spend for 9 minutes on the platform, but it's 100% worth it.
I love that. Something that I haven't spoken to with previous powerlifters is the training and the competition around that menstrual cycle, because we already know that we are very advocate for women's health and letting them know how to, measure the cycles, train around your menstrual cycle. But when you're an athlete and when you go into powerlifting or bodybuilding, it's not as if you can just switch off your menstrual cycle and be like, period, not today. And like you said, you have to work your way around that. Have you had a comp that has fallen on a period day or around that menstrual cycle for you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's a fantastic topic as well, because obviously I think talking about hormones and the menstrual cycle has become really popular over the last few months, which is great. Obviously education around that is really important. And I think it's really really taken a lot. Like, Instagram people are like, oh, if you got your period, just don't train, which is fine for majority of people, but my experience is different to others. I am on hormonal birth control, so mine is going to be a little minuscule compared to somebody who's not. So that's fine for majority of people, but when you're a powerlifter or when you're a bodybuilder, like you said, if you get your period, you've still got to do your training session. Like, you've still got to unfortunately put a belt around that stomach, even though you don't want to. Like, I've had TMI, but I've squatted and pushed out a tampon. Like, you just can't.
I've
Like,
squatted before and pushed my cup out.
yeah, Okay, I haven't done that. I'm on cups now, and I haven't done that. Thank God. That would be a whole thing. Although in saying that, going to a cup has made it so much easier. Like during training, like if you don't have one, go buy one right now. And great for the environment, great for it. But yes, I have actually had a period on a competition day. I've had people, clients and friends have their period on competition day. And from what I've seen, like the competition environment is the same. I think like everybody's kind of different, and obviously you feel the way you feel on those specific days. You know, for me personally, day one is a shit show, but every other day is a walk in the park. Like it's just inconvenient. So I've definitely had to train on that day one, and it's not great, but the way that I kind of look at it with, bodybuilding or with, powerlifting is that, your 12 weeks of hard work can't be undone in a minute. Like how you apply yourself on the day, or the effort that you put in, or the strength that you've built, or more so brought out, isn't going to change. It's more so how you treat it mentally, I think. Like I think a lot of people, obviously people feel how they feel with their menstrual cycle. Some people are really debilitated, and obviously if you have PCOS or endo, that's a completely different story. But I think a lot of people also look at it and go, oh, I'm weaker, I must be weaker, maybe I shouldn't train. And I think that has a huge flow-on effect, a little bit more so than the actual period itself.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because not everyone feels the same on their period. There's some women who feel strong when they're on the menstrual cycle, but some women don't. And I love that you mentioned that it's a mindset thing. And especially like, the textbook stuff and like all the well, not all studies, but some studies, they show how, women do feel a little bit tired, lethargic around that menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
That's just one study or 5 studies, whatever. It's not the 4 billion women out there.
No, it's not the entire population. You can have 10 women line up and they've all got a different experience around like how they feel, what they look like. Like like I think around the period and stuff, it should be taken as, okay, like how do I feel? Like if you go into a session telling yourself that you're going to be weaker, how can you expect to be at your best, or how can you expect to be as strong as you can be if you're telling yourself you're not? That's probably the one thing that really got on my nerves a little bit, was that a lot of people do say, or everyone's the same, or if you get your period, this is what's going to happen, you're going to feel like this. And it's like, but everyone's so different. Like the world can't stop, unfortunately. Some days it'd be nice, but unfortunately it can't.
I love that. How would you navigate these conversations with clients?
More so just getting to know them, seeing what their menstrual cycle experience is. Getting the more education I can get from them and get to know like what their cycle is like, the more that I can help them. Like we've said, like every menstrual cycle is different. So more so just trying to learn about their cycle, and then just communicating with them. Like, I've got clients who do have endo and PCOS, and some of them, really are a lot better than people who don't have them, to be honest. And then some really struggle. It's more so, I guess it's more so educating people in that one missed session also doesn't mean the end of the world. Like, I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure, like if they can't train, then they've fucked up their whole week.
Yeah.
Like, just move the session. It's okay. Like, so some days it goes well, and some days, like I've definitely had clients who have gotten it and they've gone to the gym and they're just like, nah, not today. And that's okay too. Like, most cases you feel worse when you're not in that environment, but exercise is good for during the period. Like, it generally helps most pain, but not majority. I think just trying to get to know what their menstrual cycle is like, and then obviously dealing around it is probably the best way to kind of handle it, because everyone's different.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that you mentioned around like people missing out on sessions, because it goes back to that all or nothing mindset,
Yeah.
oh, I missed Thursday, so yeah, fuck my week up. I'm just going to start again on Monday. It's just like, it doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way. Like, I find the issue, like, so I've got one client, I won't name her. She cannot figure out her calendar. Like, there is one, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I've been coaching her for like 2 years, and she just cannot figure out her calendar. Like, she's like, oh, for some reason I just have to do all my sessions all at once. Like, it's more so like trying to plan out, even if you miss a session, like trying to be realistic around obviously getting in your other sessions, or taking the time, because like, if you're going to take the time to pay money for a coach, take the time to make it a priority in your week. And if something does happen, like you do go and you're like, nah, not today, this isn't going to happen, like, that's fine too. Like, I think it's more so, I guess it's just being realistic and honest with yourself. Really can help a lot of things in regards to training around your menstrual cycle, or just in general day-to-day life.
I think also lowering those expectations, because so many people have expectations that they can train 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And it's really like sitting down with yourself and looking at your calendar going, can I actually fit in 4? If not, drop it down to 3. And that goes back to the conversation that we just had before. Doing more is not necessarily the answer for you to getting results.
No, like every time, like, you get a new client on board, and it's like, okay, like, they're like, how many days should I train? And I'm like, how many days can you train? Like, it's never how many days do you want to train. It's more so how many days can you train? Because I feel like, and I think social media definitely has a part in this. Obviously you see people, maybe you're a mother of 2, and you work 9 to 5, and you see on social media people training, 2 hours a day, and then, they're getting 10,000 steps, they're killing their nutrition. And like, I feel like it makes people feel guilty for not being able to do that. But like, what you've got to, I guess, put your effort towards is doing what you can. Like, obviously training, the significant difference between 3 sessions and 4 sessions is awesome. Like, obviously your progression and everything is going to be much more impacted from 4. But if you're getting 3 sessions in and it's a fucking stress to get that 4th session in, like, it's actually doing more negative than positive. Like, you've just got to do what you can do. Like, if you can only loosely track macros and get 95% right, fantastic. Like, nobody's 100%, even if they look it on social media,
or even if they say they are.
Yes, yeah, you're like, no, you're not 100%. Nobody's 100%.
Right, no, definitely not. And again, it goes back to social media. It's, people are persuading that, they're doing all these wonderful things. And like you said, some of us can feel guilty around that, going, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. Like, they're doing this. But like you said before, we're all different, living different lifestyles, different priorities, calendars.
Calendar. I think, what did I see? I saw it somewhere. I can't remember. I saw it ages ago, and it's just stuck with me. I saw, like, somebody wrote, like, seeing somebody at 25 or 20 years old living at home, not working, it's very easy to stick to your meal plan 100%. It's easy to get in all the sessions, put everything, get 8 hours sleep, drink all your water, like, get all of that support and be 100%, but what happens when you're like 35? What happens when you're 40? Like, I'd love to see, I think it was like, show me what you look like when you're 35. I think it's very easy to have the perfect body, or, be lean when you have the perfect circumstances. But, as you obviously get older, focuses change, responsibilities change, time gets diminished to nothing. Like, the priorities list changes. And like, if there's somebody, a mother who has 3 kids and she's looking after herself and putting effort in, like, I think that is amazing, versus somebody who has all the time in the world, who, of course you're going to be like banging, like, of course you have all that time. That's the motivational shit that I want to see on social media, is that honest approach, that somebody's, not in the best circumstances, but is doing looking after themselves, I guess.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I don't think I've come across many people who do that.
Nah.
Not yet, anyway.
Nah. It's probably not very sellable, so maybe not.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to keep quiet on that topic because I'll probably just end up like ranting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, in terms of training right now, actually, let's reverse that. You just competed as well. So, we're going to go back. We've experienced burnout. Have you been competing for 7 years or you've been actively in powerlifting for 7 years?
Competing for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I look back at my first novice competition and I was just a little baby. I was just a little child. I was like, God, I was little. Like, when you look at yourself, you're like, oh, I'm not really jacked. Probably put on some more size. And I look at myself, I'm like, how small was I?
I love it. It's so good. And then, like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm always just wanting to become bigger.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like when I started powerlifting, I was in the 67 kilo class. And this last weekend, I weighed in at 81.5. So there's been a little bit of growth.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Hopefully it's been muscle. Like I have that, honestly, I actually have that conversation a lot with my clients about, I think women in the gym are always trying to get smaller, but like effectively you should want to get heavier the more you train. Like the longer you're in the gym, like your goal is to be heavier on those scales because it means you're actually putting on some decent mass. I think that's something that a lot of people need to get comfortable with is like if you want to be jacked, that scale's got to go up.
You can't get jacked living on a calorie deficit, that's for sure.
Nope, you can try, but it's just going to be a very slow road.
A very slow road or no road.
Oh, no road, yeah.
Yeah. So back to powerlifting, you've just competed as well. How was the comp on that day?
It was a huge bloody day. Like we got there at 9 a.m. for weigh-in. Competition started at 11 and we were waiting there for our trophies at 10:30 p.m. So it was a fucking huge day. They don't normally go that long, but it's because we had you had like a 3-lift comp and there were 4 flights. So God knows how many actual athletes there were. I think there was maybe 15 people per flight.
Wow.
Yeah, huge. And then we had like bench only and deadlift only. So it was just we had to wait around and everyone got their trophies at the same time, which is, it works. Everyone gets to hang around and see the massive lift. I think there was a woman who deadlifted 265.
Whoa.
Huge, huge. It was insane. It was such a huge day.
Is that a record?
I think so, yeah. There was also a guy that benched 300. Can you imagine even holding that?
No, I can't because that will never happen.
People deadlift that.
That is absolutely incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What were the numbers that you hit? Did you hit the targets that you wanted to hit?
Yes. Yeah. This was my first competition coming back from a long road of back injuries. So just to be able to get to this competition and survive it was a huge win for me. But I walked in, I think I wanted 150 squat, 105 bench, and a 180 deadlift. Wow. And I got 150 squat. I held back on the squats just because I was not very confident at all. But I probably could have done a little bit more on the day, but kept it light. 150 squat, and then I went 102.5 bench, and then 190 deadlift.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like the deadlift really surprised me because like I wanted 180. So I opened on like 170 and then 180 and then like just do 190. I was like, okay, I'll just try. But it felt really good. Even like starting at 11 and we were deadlifting at 6 o'clock at night. Like it was just so weird to be there that long and everyone was really tired. But as soon as deadlift started, like the crowd like woke back up and the environment completely changed.
Yeah.
Which thank God, because I would not have pulled otherwise.
Yeah, you know what? Like for those who haven't been to a powerlifting meet, the energy of being at a meet is just incredible.
Insane. Like it's honestly the funnest day. Like PBing in the gym is nothing compared to PBing on a platform. Like, and like a lot of people are really nervous about, wearing a soft suit and, standing in front of all of that, the huge crowd. You don't really see the crowd, but you just feel the energy.
Mm,
Like, that, like, I mean, I perform great when I'm watched. I don't know why, but like if I don't want to do something or I'm nervous about failing it, I just get somebody just like look at me. And I'm like, okay, cool, can't fail now. So I don't really see the people, but you feel the energy. Like it's just, yeah, like a lot of people wait to compete because they want to be, really good or they want to be really strong before they do. But like, I mean, on the platform is, where you get strong.
mm. I love that mentality because, like you mentioned, so many people are waiting for that opportunity for them to be ready for it. It's just like you're never going to be 100% ready for it. You might as well take the chance now or regret it for the rest of your life.
100%, 100%. Like you don't know what you're going to be like on the day. You could perform amazing. You could be so good on the day, or you could be a nervous fucking wreck. Like
Mm.
and like I think that's why I like the sport. Like that's probably the best thing I love about the sport is that you don't really know how the day is going to go. Like you can have a perfect 12-week prep and you can PB in the gym and you could still fuck it up on the day. Like, or you can have the worst prep of your life, not even want to do the competition, and you can get there and it can just be the perfect day. Like you just honestly don't know what you're capable of until you try.
So true. I love that. Such a good way of looking at it because, again, like so many people out there love the aspect of strength training, but then when you like put the opportunity out there for them to compete, they're like, oh, no, no,
Oh,
no,
no, no.
I'm not ready for that. It's just like you don't know that till you give it a chance.
I think the best thing I learned with powerlifting was that it sounds really bad, but nobody cares. Like, like nobody, like when you're out there, like nobody knows if it's a PB. Nobody knows if you've done it a million times. Nobody knows if it's you've never done it before and you could fail. Like nobody cares. They just want you to get it. Like, and I think that was like, one of the best things I did learn was because like nobody has any expectations of you. Like they just want you to get the lift. Whether you've done it a million times, they don't care. They just want to see you get a lift. And I think that's like, sounds negative that nobody cares, but it's more so, I think it just takes the pressure off people, like putting themselves out there to actually get on the platform. Like, one of my clients, she did Pro Raw as well. And she was like, oh, I'm going to be the weakest there. And I'm like, nobody's looking for the weakest. Nobody's like, oh, I wonder who's going to total less. Like, that's not who we are. Like it's not powerlifting. I mean, like nobody cares what you total. Nobody even cares what's on the barbell. Like they just want to see you win.
It's so true because I've been to so many competitions and the energy of people just supporting the athletes on the platform is just next level.
Yeah, yeah. Whether it's 40 kilos on the barbell, whether it's 200, like the energy is just the same.
Yeah, I love that. It's so supportive.
Yeah, it's definitely needed 100%.
Yeah, totally. Otherwise, no one would be powerlifting.
No. People just stay in the gym.
Yeah, seriously. And I love the fact that you openly said that you need to have people there because that puts like that mindset shift in your head going, okay, I need to do this right now or else I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I know a few people who are like that as well. Like you just kind of need somebody to be there watching you, or like that fear of failure maybe, or like the need to perform. I don't know why I've always kind of been like that, but not everybody's like that. Like some people don't like to be watched. Some people perform better when they aren't watched, but I definitely perform better when I'm being watched.
Yeah.
So can't fuck up.
Yeah, I love it. Where with some people, I can speak to regarding like certain clients of mine, they will probably have that fear of performing in front of other people because of that fear of failure.
Yes. Yeah. Like a lot of people do. Like, I mean, every single client I've had that's never done competition before, they're like, oh my God, what about the people? And it's like, honestly, you don't see them. Like you don't even know they're there. Like when you're, I mean, it's like anything. Like when you're picking up a heavy barbell, when you're getting under a squat, ready to squat, are you thinking about who's in the gym? Are you thinking about who's watching you right now? I mean, I hope not. I feel like you should be definitely thinking about the squat or the movement that you're doing. Because like, I mean, once again, it's a selfish sport. And if you're doing a heavy squat, if there's a part of you that isn't thinking about the squat, you might miss.
Yeah, you might injure yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess in a sport where you've put a lot of effort into it, you really want to put that effort towards actually nailing the lift. Yeah.
100%. What is one of like the most common myths that you come across around powerlifting or training for powerlifting meet?
One of the probably like the fact that you have to be big to do it. Like, I mean, it does help to have a big, strong back during bench press, and I mean, every lift really. But I feel like a really common thing has been that, for a long time, a lot of people have been dieting down to the next weight class to compete. And I would love to see that disappear. I mean, there's nothing wrong with cutting for a competition if you're going to win, or if it's, an invite only competition maybe, and you have to go into a specific weight class. But I think for a long time, a lot of people do want to cut down to the lower weight class when, obviously powerlifting is a performance-based sport, and being in a deficit does not aid in performance, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it's just about timing. I think it was really popular to diet down and be small and strong. But I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to be big and strong, And I think trying to get people to go into a meet really well fed and, maintenance or above, I think it's gotten a lot more popular now. But I really think for a long time, dieting down and looking small was just way too popular for a really long time.
You're here to change the game.
Yes, yeah. Big and jacked, preferably, not small and jacked.
Yeah, get big and jacked. Well, like we said before, you can't be jacked and small. Like
no, they don't go together.
No, not at all. It's like, I come across so many males and they're like, oh, I just want to like put on size. And I'm like, yeah, so what are your calories at? And they're like, oh, I'm not eating much because, stay clean. And I'm like, dude, you're defeating the whole purpose.
It's like when people complain they can't put on weight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I keep losing weight. It's like, you actually need to eat more. Like, there's nothing else you can do. I mean, maybe you have an issue you need to dive into with your doctor, but chances are you just need to eat more. Yeah. Like, it's like when somebody says, I just can't get protein in. I just really struggle to hit my protein target. And it's like, just add more protein to what you're already eating. It's very easy.
Yeah. Simple steps.
Yeah.
I love that. So good. What's on for the next half of 2022 for you?
So, I'm competing again in September. Yep, just diving right in. It's an invite-only competition in Sydney. It's called Breakthrough. Cool. Should be really good. I think a lot of elite level, like really big, strong girls are going to do it. So I think it'll be a really good competition. And then just, building my business, building my brand, trying to obviously get as many people helped as I can over the next few years. It should be really good to actually like build things without COVID in the back of your mind. I think that's really exciting, just to be like, oh, I can actually plan now.
Yeah, I can leave my house.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh my God. Crazy times. Yeah. Crazy. I love that. So good. So competition and building the brand, which is awesome. Speaking of the brand, how can our listeners and followers get in touch with you and work with you?
Yeah, definitely. So there's the DAC Strength website, dacstrength.com.au. And then we also have the Instagram as well, which is DAC Strength _. Everything is DAC Strength. Just get in contact with us, whether you want to get started in powerlifting, or whether you want to just, obviously put more effort into your overall health. Or maybe you just have a question. Like, always happy to hear from people.
Love that. Awesome. Well, girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you recommend it, share it, leave us a review, give us all the feedback we want to hear, and know all the love, that we're putting into this. And yeah, screenshot it, tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Dak on Instagram. And then until then, stay big and get jacked.
Perfect advice.